In this video, I am going to show you how to do an image view. So, image view is pretty easy, but it requires two things. First, it requires you to load an image into memory, make a new image in memory, and then you assign that image to an image view. So here is our application that we left off in the last video, and you can see I've added a picture of Duke right in the center. So how did I do that? Well, the first thing I did is create a new image, and to do that, I called getClass.getResource, and then I pointed to the folder called images in my source code, and there was a file in there called duke.png, and then I changed it to a toString. That basically got a string to load that image out of this folder. And to do that, over here in the source packages, I right-clicked and I said new folder, and I created a folder called images. Okay, so you can see it shows up in here, and if we go to, should be able to pull that up. If we go, let's get the path where our project is here. And if I go in here, here's my project. I just called it Java Application 3 for this demo. But if I go in the source folder, the Java Application 3 folder, there's that images folder that was created. And inside there is Duke, where I pasted Duke in there. So the image of Duke comes from the file system. It's stored in memory as Duke. In order for this to work, we had to import the image class right here from JavaFX.scene.image.image. We had to import that. In the next line, in order to do this one, you had to import JavaFX.scene.image.ImageView. And those wouldn't work until you did that. So when you type these, so once we have the image in memory, I can say new image view. Okay, so an image view is a kind of a node, and I passed in Duke. So it took the image and made an image view with Duke in it. So I called that image view Duke image. Okay. Down here, I added Duke image to my root node. Okay. And I also set the layout for X and the layout for Y on the Duke image. So once you have this image view, you can actually update it. You could have multiple images and update it with different images. Maybe you have a little animation where you could rotate through the images to animate. In this case, I'm only using one image. So an image view, we get the images in memory to make it a little bit faster, and then we can just make an image view with Duke in it, and we can rotate those images through there as often as we want. So that's how an image view works. It's not too hard to do if you need it. I want to talk about one other thing, and that's some colors. I'm not going to get, there's a lot of ways to do colors. Let's set the background of this to black. Actually, let's set it to yellow. When we create a new scene, there's a lot of different ways to set colors on a lot of different things, but I'm going to change the background of this scene to yellow because I want to show you something if you decide to do some colors. If you say color.yellow, actually I think that's a capital C, you're going to get some options. So in order to use colors, you have to import the color class. Now, one thing to know about JavaFX is it's the third iteration of ways to do graphical user interfaces with Java. So we started out early on with Java AWT. That one was very clunky, really hard to use. And then they improved on that later on, and they added something called java.swing, and you've probably seen that with some of the pop-ups and things as you've gone through Java. We make use of that. But the latest, greatest version for making GUIs, and it has a lot of added features, even above swing, is JavaFX. Now the issue is they both have a color class. So be very careful when I want to use a color. Add import, the first one it gives me is java.awt, which is like 2 versions of GUI. You know, it's pretty old. If I pick that one, it's not going to work properly. So make sure you pick the color class that goes with JavaFX scene.paint color. That's the one we want. So I imported that, and that should actually be, that's a constant, so it needs to be all caps. And I'll go ahead and run this again. Maybe I won't. Missed it. There it is. So I have a yellow background behind Duke now. So you can use colors. There's ways to use them in a lot of different controls. If you decide to do that, just make sure you're importing the right color class. So that's how to use image views, and a brief demonstration on how to use colors, although there's a lot of other places you can use those. You're going to have to look at the documentation for the things you want to do in order to do those things.